A Channel 4 programme about radical Islam had quoted people out of context and distorted what they had to say. And Undercover Dispatches had shown preachers encouraging followers to prepare for jihad and calling non-Muslims pathological liars and the enemy. But now Newsnight has evidence which suggests the film wasn't a distortion. So why the claims it was? Peter Marshall reports.
Tonight on Dispatches, an ideology of bigotry and intolerance spreading through Britain.
At Channel 4, they say it's a programme they're particularly proud of. But the police call it a distortion, and in August took the unprecedented step of referring it to the broadcast regulator, Ofcom. We've been examining the Dispatches Undercover Mosque. So what's the truth?
All I know at the moment is we've been accused of editing together extracts to change meaning, which we totally deny, and we can demonstrate we haven't.
At the moment, the police, like the individuals indicted in the programme, are adding nothing to their initial allegations that Undercover Mosque was misleadingly edited, the views of the speakers distorted and taken out of context. So what's the evidence? The chief target of the film at the Green Lane Mosque in Birmingham was an American imam called Abu Usama.
The theme of today's lecture is, don't believe in the arrests of alleged terrorists without proof, as non-Muslims are liars.
I don't believe them because they are kuffar and lying is part of their religion.
Kuffar is an Arabic word meaning non-believer, an infidel.
Unlike those kuffar, they do whatever they want to do.
It's a term our reporter was to hear repeatedly being used in a derogatory way.
We've seen the context, a transcript of what Abu Usama said that wasn't broadcast. Immediately after saying that kuffar or non-believers are liars, he adds, they lied on Allah, they lied on the message of Allah, and I wouldn't put it past them to take the focus of what they're doing.
They are liars. They are terrorists themselves. Liars. They will come before the people and talk, and they are lying. You can't believe them. These are pathological liars.
After this, he continued unbroadcast, they come with straight faces lying. You can't believe half of what they say. So Abu Usama's views were edited, but television documentaries are edited, particularly where undercover filming's involved. In this case, 56 hours was boiled down to 1 hour transmitted. Nothing unusual there, and on the face of it, there was no distortion. Shortly after that passage, Tony Blair and George Bush are compared to Osama bin Laden.
Filmed undercover, he says he doesn't agree with the violent actions of Muslim terrorists, but he prefers them to non-Muslims.
I don't agree with those individuals, but at the same time, they're closer to me than those criminals of the Kufr.
He's better than 1,000,000 George Bushes, Osama bin Laden. He's better than 1,000 Tony Blair, because he's a Muslim.
As the broadcast suggests, the imam condemns bin Laden's methods, saying prior to what was broadcast, we free ourselves from his methodology, we free ourselves from all that, and even that is the case. And then he says he's better than 1,000,000 Bushes and 1,000 Blairs. In August, with the police and Crown Prosecution Service suggesting the programme was, quote, a complete distortion, it all got caught up in the saga of fake TV.
Faking on television?
It looks like it, Nick, doesn't it? We've had the BBC.
Media lawyers say the police shouldn't have got involved.
Certainly not. The police's duty is to investigate crime, not to investigate whether there have been breaches of the broadcasting code.
But having investigated, found there wasn't a crime and felt perhaps there was a breach of the code, haven't they a duty to do this? Couldn't they say, well, why not?
No, their remit ends there.
It's worth noting the Crown Prosecution Service are at pains to stress they're not party to the Ofcom complaint. So why have the police gone out on a limb? Well, sources in the West Midlands Force told me what some speakers said in that film stretched the limits, but it was hyped. If that's all Channel 4 got in months filming undercover, it wasn't very good. They also said the police are keen to maintain good relations with the mosque and with characters like Abu Usama because they're against terrorism. The sources describe them as the last buffer before radicalised people fall off into the abyss. It's not so much the police wanting to keep in with them as with keep talking and understanding. It's cost the police time and money. A counter-terrorism conference in Sussex saw a West Midlands officer lauding two leading figures from the mosque. A taxpayers group found that by the time the police referred the programme to Ofcom, they'd spent thousands looking at it.
We found from their response that they had received 82 pieces of communication, none of which met the definition of a complaint. And they'd also spent £14,000 of taxpayers' money, excluding staff time, on the actual investigation itself.
So they spent £14,000, and you're saying they hadn't had any complaints?
That's absolutely right. They received 82 pieces of communication. Now, that might have been, concern about the programme, or it might have been concern about what the preachers in the mosque were actually saying. We don't know. But none of them, and the police admitted this in their response, none of them met the definition of a complaint.
As non-Muslims are liars.
While Ofcom decide what to do with the police complaint, Channel 4 remain bullish.
In fact, I'm more confident now than I was when this whole thing broke in August. I mean, I have now seen documents that the police have presented, but I think also there are wider issues here for what the police think their role is in calling journalists to account.
What do you think they think their role is?
I think you'd have to ask them that. I think that this looks like they've overstepped the mark.
As for Green Lane Mosque in Birmingham, it's now on the shortlist for Britain's best mosque. The Islam Channel says the contest is a positive step to combat negative stereotypes in the media. Ofcom will decide on Channel 4's version shortly.